Our campus is open today, this week actually, so I've actually been in campus today at our Tauranga campus, our Windermere campus. It's quite strange going back to campus, and I'm sure you'll all find that when you start getting back into your normal sort of life. So I'm just going to give you a summary of the New Zealand, what's happened in New Zealand from the government perspective and COVID. And then I'm going to talk to you about Toi Ohomai and what we're doing for the rest of the year in terms of intakes, fees, online delivery, and on all of those things. And I can give you some pretty up-to-date news, which is about what Toi Ohomai is doing. So I'll get to that shortly. But firstly, so on the 25th of March, the New Zealand government decided to put us into alert level 4, which is the most extreme alert level we've had. And that meant lockdown. So we had to go and stay in our homes, and you couldn't go and visit other people, and they called that your bubble. Okay, so we stayed in our bubble and we worked from home. And so Paramdip and I have had many conversations by phone, by WhatsApp, by Zoom, you can name it. So all those technologies that we're using to talk to each other. So that was in level 4. And during that time, of course, the number of COVID cases increased to the point where it got to about 80 per day. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but just remember New Zealand's quite a small population, 5 million now. And so we were in lockdown for approximately 5 weeks, and then we moved into a lower level because the number of cases had decreased quite substantially. In fact, it had gotten down to about 5 or 6 cases, and a very small number of deaths. And then about 2 weeks ago, we started to get 0 cases, and that's been happening for most of the days in the last 2 weeks, which is very pleasing. And it should have showed that the lockdown had worked and people had practiced good social distancing and health, washing hands and all those things, which is recommended. And so now we've gone to alert level 2. So that essentially means we're some way back to normal. We're back at campus. Some of the students are on campus. Some of them are studying online if they can, from home. Businesses are open. Most things are open actually, but there is a restriction on the amount of people that can go to events, like 100 maximum, or 10, for example, at a funeral or a wedding. So we still are under some restrictions, but we're hoping that very soon we'll be going back to level 1, and that will require 0 cases for quite some time, and then about a month, and then at that time, we will hopefully move back to 0, back to normal towards the end of the year. So that's where New Zealand is at the moment. So let's talk about, and of course, sorry, I should have said the borders were closed on March the 25th, and the only people allowed into the country were either essential workers or New Zealand citizens or residents. And they had to go into a quarantine situation for 2 weeks before they were allowed back to their homes. Okay, so that's still continuing, the border closure. And of course, we've had, Toi Ohomai is pretty proud of its sort of record in terms of looking after students. We got rated really highly around the world in terms of student support, especially for new students that are arriving in the country. So it's very important to us that we help the students. And during the COVID lockdowns, etc., we supported international students through hardship allowances, providing technology devices, food packages, got the community got involved in terms of helping international students in both of our main centres, Rotorua and Tauranga. And of course, the students were studying remotely or online while they were in lockdown, but now they're coming back to campus. And we're seeing generally actually straight away that some students just love that interaction with each other. So it's been quite hard for some students. They've been sitting at home waiting for the day they can come back, and that's arrived. So it's been a good week. Yeah, so our focus has been on their support, their health, their well-being, and ensuring that they can survive well through this time. And so we're pretty proud of that.
Yep. And as you know, that New Zealand government has also done very well. All the international students who were on full-time or part-time job before the lockdown, they got the wage subsidy. So full-time student got around $585 per week, and part-time student got around $300. So the wage subsidy was given to international students also. So New Zealand is only one of the few countries which have given it to international students. Few other countries haven't done anything. And also, like in our region, Bay of Plenty region, there was a lot of work in essential services area. So our students were allowed to work full time during the month of April in supermarkets. And our healthcare students who were working in old age home retirement village full time. So they were given the permission to work full time for 3 months, provided they are coping up with their studies and keeping well involved in the studies also. But government gave them the opportunity to work full time. And our kiwi fruit season was fully on, so that was classified essential skill work area. So a lot of students were able to go and do the fruit picking, and in the evening they were able to work in the pack house, following all the safety and security standard, and social distancing also was in implement over there. So that way student had the opportunity to work and earn their living expense. And as Peter mentioned, there was a lot of support from community groups and institute. There was a hardship fund also we set up. We worked with the Migrant Resource Center. We worked with the Civil Defense Center also, and the local community. Whenever student was any hardship, they were given the food baskets and other things. So that way we took good care of students. And I know this, actually the way New Zealand has handled this whole process has been recommended very well by the whole world, different bodies. And the image of New Zealand has improved a lot in containing this virus and overall handling this situation. So there is a lot of interest in New Zealand, and I think you guys have done very well by taking the first step and showing interest in New Zealand, because I'm pretty sure that next year will be very big for New Zealand. And although right now the tourism is a bit down, but people are looking at New Zealand very seriously. A lot of people are trying to invest money in New Zealand, trying to buy property in New Zealand. And as soon as the borders open, they are planning to visit New Zealand. And students also, we have started to see increase in number of inquiries. So it's pretty good that you guys take your offer letters and everything and reserve your seats, because in a lot of programs we have some limited seats. So it is very better for you to take this action now, because all our staff is working. Some are working from home and some have started going back to the institution. So as soon as you get all the information and take the action and get the programs or offer letters from